Hey everybody, Detective Fun Guy here. I'm back with another painting tutorial. For this, we're going to focus on a Tyranid warrior. Now, I've done Tyranid warriors before, but we're going to paint this in the paint scheme of Hive behemoth. So, this is a Tyranid warrior I mounted on my base holder. So let's get started. So, Hive behemoth is a red skin tone, or like for the exoskeleton, and a black carapace. So we're going to start off with the base colors. So let me just make sure I grab the right brush. Make sure none of them are too, yeah. So for the first part, we're going to focus on the exoskeleton right here. So for this, we're going to use contrast paint. We're going to use the darker red first. So for this, we're going to use Flesh Terror's red. So use some Flesh Terror's red. Shake up the contrast paints like so. Okay, with the paint shaken up. So what we're going to do is going to take some Flesh Terror's red. Put it on our palette. More paint. Just enough. Perfect. Okay. We're going to thin this down a little bit so it's not so thick. Alright, on to the miniature. So for the contrast paint, basically we're going to focus all over the details to which are exoskeleton with Flesh Terror's red. And this is a contrast paint. We are going over some flat areas, so try to do nice even strokes like this. And for the other part, we're also going to focus on the arms, where there's exoskeleton. So the arms, etc., stuff like that. Try not to get it on the weapons because we're going to do the weapons a different color, but if you do, that's completely fine. Alright, so that's the basic part. I'll be right back when I finish base coating the whole thing. Okay, while the red skin is dry, which is basically, it's not skin, but it's the exoskeleton, we base coated with that. So, for the next part, we're basically going to take a paint inside and tidy up some of the areas. We're going to go with Wraithbone. Alright, finally with the Wraithbone now applied, I still need to apply some more, but don't worry, we're going to fix that in a while. So, for the next part, we're going to start highlighting the exoskeleton. For this, we're going to use a dry brush. For this, we're going to use rat skin flesh. So, take some rat skin flesh, shake up the paints like so. We are going to take our makeup brush. So what we're going to do, take our makeup brush, and we're going to wipe off most of the paint on a paper towel. I'm going to use it off camera because you already know the technique, but yeah. Okay, so for the skin, basically, or the exoskeleton. So basically what we're going to do, make sure the paint is not too streaky, and what we're going to do is gently dry brush all over the areas. So watch this. Nice, gentle dry brush. Gentle, gentle, gentle. You can barely see it, and that's exactly what we want. And it's starting to catch on the raised areas. Alright, oh, I almost forgot about the other part right here in the ribs. Alright, there we go. That's the rat skin dry brush done. Alright, for the next part of the miniature, we're going to start painting the carapace. Hive behemoth has a black carapace, so we're going to use a contrast paint, Black Legion. So, let me move the miniature out the way, the base holder. So, what we're going to do is this. Shake up the contrast paints like so. Okay, so let me make sure. So what we're going to do, this is a little thick, so I do need to thin it down a little bit. So yeah. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do, make sure it's not overloading our brush. Basically what we're going to do is this. We're going to apply black legion all over the carapace parts. So I'm going to go to do it like this motion. Go sideways. And go sideways this way as well. And also for the next part, we're also going to focus on the weapons as well, including the gun right here and the bone swords. So, thin this down a little bit more because it is a little more thick. Okay. You take this like this and go one even stroke, just very gently. Very gently. Don't overload the brush. All right, I'll be back when all the black parts are done. Okay, so as you notice, with the black all done, I did get some black on the red parts, but we're going to fix that. We're going to start highlighting the red. So for this, we're going to take a layer paint. We're going to use Evil Sun Scarlet. So make sure the paint pot is open. So what we're going to do, take some Evil Sun Scarlet, put it on the palette like so, thin layers. Basically, what we're going to do is that use thin layers, and we're going to highlight the raised parts of the red areas, like right here. All we're doing is giving a nice subtle highlight. And yes, we did use rat skin flesh, but this is for the overall exoskeleton itself. We're just going to use thin layers. Next part I'm going to do is basically wherever I got black. So basically like this part, like right here, raised areas. That's it. And also, you know what? Let's go up the whole entire leg. There we go. Just use thin layers. Thin layers. And when you get to the rib parts, like right here, you're just going to highlight the whole thing. Also the face and the head. I'll be right back when the highlights are finished. Alright, that's the Evil Sun's Scarlet highlighted. So, for the next part, let me just close off my paint pots just so they don't fall over or whatever. So, I'm going to make sure I wash off my brushes real quick. And now, we're going to start with the next step. If I can stop flipping over the camera, sorry about that. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start highlighting we're going to do the fleshy parts. For this, we're going to take a contrast paint. For this, we're going to use Guilliman Flesh. So, check out the contrast paints like so. This is just for the fleshy tubes and stuff like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, take some Guilliman Flesh on our brush, put it on the palette like so. Basically, we're going to highlight all the fleshy, use all the fleshy stuff. So the sacks right here for the Tyranid warrior right here. We're going to use that with Guilliman Flesh. And of course the tubes right here, the fleshy tubes, and yeah. Wherever you see fleshy tubes, just paint this with Guilliman Flesh. Alright, and that's all the fleshy stuff done. Alright, next part of the miniature, we're going to paint the tongue. For the tongue, it's very simple, so we're going to use one simple base coat. For this, we're going to use Screamer Pink. Check out the contrast paint, check out the paints like so. I almost said contrast paint, this is a base paint. Thin this down a little bit. Perfect. What we're going to do with our fine tip on our brush, after we just twisted it, we're going to paint Screamer Pink all over the tongue. just all over the tongue. Alright, and that's the tongue painted. Alright, next part of the Tyranid warrior is his teeth. So for this, we're going to use another paint, Wraithbone. So for Wraithbone, I know I used this earlier, but we're going to use this for the teeth. So we're going to take our very small brush, take some Wraithbone, put it on the palette like so, and there we go. Twist it and just make sure. So what we're going to do, be very, very careful when painting in the teeth. What we're going to do right here. Every individual tooth. There are some teeth matched together. Just be careful when painting that. Just like so. Okay, I did go over, but I'll fix that in just a second. Alright, with the teeth now fixed, that's the teeth done. So now we're going to focus on the eyes. So for this, we're going to take a really bright yellow, or a brighter yellow. We're going to use Uriel yellow. So check out the paints like so. So take some Uriel yellow, put it on the palette, and just put it right there. Send this down with some water. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is dot in the eyes. So for the eyes, it's very, very difficult, but don't worry. Make sure that there's almost no paint on our brush. So they're perfect. So what we're going to do, make sure I can see the camera while doing this, we're going to dot in the eyes. There we go, that's the first eye. And now for the other side, just do the same technique. There we go, that's the eyes done. Okay, final part of the miniature is to start highlighting the black carapace. So Hive Fleet Behemoth actually has a blue highlight. So for the color, this is basically what it is. We're going to highlight it with the Temple Guard blue. So take a look at the paints like so. What we're going to do is this. Temple Guard blue. Make sure there's not too much paint on the palette. What we're going to do is this. We're going to start highlighting the carapace but in lines to make it look like a carapace. So what we're going to do, take this little brush right here and doing very fine lines like this. Be very steady, be very careful. Just painting in little lines. Just extra control. Lots of control. Okay, and also before I skip to it, we're also going to skip to do the carapace right here on the legs. So for this, I'm going to turn the legs around like this and basically do the same technique, just little lines, like so. Little lines, little lines. And for the final part of the carapace, well, there's also these weapons right here on the weapons. We're also going to do this for the bigger parts. So watch this. For the bigger parts of the carapace, just do the same technique. Very little lines. Not too much, just a little bit. All right, and I'll be back when I finish the rest. Okay, for the next part, I've done it all over the body, so now we're going to focus on the head carapace. I wanted to do the head carapace separately because this is one of my favorite effects. What we're going to do, take some more of the Temple Guard blue as before, and we're going to start doing lines. So for like this, let me put the base holder down on the head so you guys can see. Kind of like diagonal, kind of like this. So basically, I'm going to take our brush and make sure there's very, very little paint. Very, very little. Okay? I'm going to start highlighting each individual, just giving little lines. That's it. And if you get a little excess like that, just wipe it off. Perfect. So what we're going to do, highlight like this. Same thing on the back right here. And if it doesn't look like lines, you can just wipe it off and just try again. So watch this. Take this part. Okay, that's the head carapace done. Okay, to finish off the black parts, we're going to do the bone swords and the weapon. So I'm going to use a different highlight so I can differentiate them from the carapace. So we're going to use Skaven Blight Dinge. We're going to do Skaven Blight Dinge. Basically, what we're going to do is going to start highlighting these. So you can kind of see the highlight, and just going to edge highlight all over the bone swords, and that's pretty much it. For this, we're going to turn this around so we can do it like this. That's the side. That's that side done. The other side of the bone sword right here. Go over to do the same thing just on the other side, and just highlight. Perfect. Okay, and also we're going to do with the weapon as well. For the weapon, basically, you're going to do the edges on the outside. So right here, outside of the Death Spitter, which is the ranged weapon. Here. Just highlight all the black details. And I'll be right back. All right, now looking at the model, we also do have a little bit of mistakes. It says as in for the eyes and the stuff right here. So we're just going to fix that real quick before we finish off the model with Evil Sunz Scarlet. So this is onto the red parts. So take some Evil Sunz Scarlet. Let me just make sure. Take this right here. And basically what we're going to do is going to start highlighting this way. So what we're going to do is this. Highlight to where the yellow. So cover that up. There we go. That's clean. And we're also going to go with any parts that we didn't get earlier, such as these parts right here. Just thin it down a little bit. And there we go. That should be good. Just tidy up the other places you might have missed with this red earlier. Okay. And all right, with tidying up, that's our Tyranid warrior done. This is the paint scheme of Hive Fleet Behemoth. Black carapace with blue highlights, red exoskeleton, and some fleshy tubes. So, this concludes today's tutorial on Tyranids. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bye-bye.